Hitler, from 2015, Hitler had the atrocities jihadists proudly display. There were rumors of the widespread atrocities Nazis committed in the 30s. German peoples had been witness to local atrocities but had not known how organized it was. FDR had been told about it but had plausible deniability as he sacrificed the lives of Nazi victims. But jihadists are proud of exploiting children to kill prisoners captured in war and stolen from home. Children in lines used to execute prisoners. Children in circles beheading prisoners. These children are recorded on electric media, which is circulated widely on social media. It is part of recruitment, and there is no good side. This hell is a result of Obama foreign policy. In some ways, it isn't very different to how jihadists have perpetrated atrocity for over 1,000 years. But it is bigger. It is organized. Former Indonesian Foreign Minister Marty Natalegawa is misrepresenting the situation. He had been reliable in opposing Australian government to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and while he was in government he could cover his lies. But saying now the clear lie that Australia does not have ministerial or even public service contact with Indonesia is demonstrably, verifiably false. Australia has extensive contact with Indonesia at all levels of administration, including foreign ministers. There are security deals, trade agreements, and all the regular issues that are part of good government. Indonesia is happy with Mr Abbott's policy regarding boat people, as it takes a lot of pressure off them. They had thousands of people flying in to be exploited by people smugglers. That had brought international condemnation and caused domestic strife for them. All that is gone now thanks to Mr Abbott. But Marty doesn't want to admit that. ABC breaches her own code of conduct, and even people she chose to review her partisan position are themselves partisan. In her nightly news segment this Sunday, she chose to show an update on so-called Palestine following conflict with Israel. So-called Palestine had launched tens of thousands of rockets into Israel's territory. Israel invaded her own territory so as to end the menace. Israel targeted weapons dumps and tunnels used to cache and transport weapons of mass destruction. So-called Palestine responded by using human shields and children as hostages, placing weapons in schools and mosques. The ABC reported that there was no need to go over the rights and wrongs of why the fighting took place, but decided to take it human interest instead, and so blaming Israel. One so-called Palestinian boy said he wanted to be a bricklayer and build houses when he grows up. ABC reported he wanted to be an engineer. In fact, his diet, he probably lays bricks now, albeit not regularly. Greece faced with non-vote. The best outcome is if they reject their government's irresponsible position, but the way the vote is set up the result is meaningless. The only way for Greece to ever prosper again is for them to make sacrifices. Ridiculously, austerity is being compared to terrorism. The truth is, reckless spending is theft. Targeting the one person not left-wing, news reports are coming in of the Human Rights Commission's Mr. Wilson, handpicked by Mr. Abbott, spending $77,000 on travel in a year. Not mentioned is the $400,000 salary or travel expenses of Gillian Triggs, or any other on that council. Mr. Wilson has good reason for his expenses. There is no question of his expenses being legitimate. But the promotion of envy connected with Mr. Abbott makes the reporting legitimate in the eyes of partisan editors. Note well, those same editors would hate to have their own salaries and expenses declared. Same-sex marriage is not an issue according to populations that have recently voted it in. Like Ireland, where 34% of the population voted in support of it. But the media are bloviating wildly on the issue, making out the issue is not as it is. So Australia has a political reality constructed by media promotion, and it won't go away. Maybe Australia should adopt legislation that limits the damage to churches. The world won't end if there's a gay marriage, but good government can end on an irrelevant issue.